And that's the recap of last night's game. Now back to your daily news.
Nothing really happened in the world today, so we're just going to give you a recap of the history between China and the Dalai Lama.
This is Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. He was born on July 6, 1935 in Tatsker, a village in Tibet. He became the Dalai Lama on November 17, 1950 at age 15.
Okay, so before 1950, we Tibetans regarded China as a place to look up to. The two countries respected each other and all of their views.
People of Tibet, this is my good friend from China. She has traveled a long way to speak to you today.
The Dalai Lama is a highly valued spiritual leader, and he never fails to be a peaceful problem solver. We would like to be allied with him in hopes of strengthening both of our nations.
Yes, I agree. Having a country as powerful as China as our friend will benefit us immensely. Please view her as the spiritual leader as well.
China would be honored to work with you in the future.
When China invaded, we did not fight back because for centuries, we had worshipped the Emperor of China as the living Buddha, a higher rank than our own Dalai Lama.
We, Chinese people, invaded Tibet in 1959, when the 14th Dalai Lama Tenzin Gyatso began his reign at age 15. We invaded with 40,000 troops, and because we wanted to have the border with India and the natural resources found in the forests of Tibet. Invasion happened with very little resistance.
Hi, give us your land, please.
No, it's mine!
Fine, we're invading now.
China signed the 17-point agreement, which stated that they would not alter our political system and that there would be no violence on the Chinese authorities' end.
This also made Tibet a national autonomous region of China that would be under the traditional rule of the Dalai Lama, but actually under control of China.
Of course, the Chinese did not keep their promise.
The only reason that China responded in violence is because the people of Tibet didn't understand the situation at all. We were just trying to free the people from a leader, cough cough, the Dalai Lama, cough cough cough, that wasn't truly experienced or of age. He was only 15 for crying out loud.
That's understandable. However, there were other ways to solve the problem of people rebelling other than resorting to violence. The Dalai Lama shows this himself when he chooses not to protest violently against the Chinese rule. Now, back to the history. When more refugees from eastern Tibet began to move to Lhasa, the Chinese responded with widespread brutality. I promise our authorities will never use violence against your people.
Hi, I'm from eastern Tibet. During this time, the Dalai Lama was trying to raise attention of the situation in Tibet. Gyatso was forming a plan on how to make the people want independence from China. This is our time! Time to free ourselves from China!
Yeah!
The people were inspired. They formed a resistance and tried to rebel against China in 1959.
The people thought that the Dalai Lama was going to be imprisoned and wanted to help him. 300,000 Tibetans surrounded the Patala Palace to offer protection.
The uprising failed, and the Dalai Lama fled to India along with 100,000 other Tibetans.
No, the Tibetans decided to listen to their corrupt leader and rebel against China, who was trying to help them. When their little plan failed, China responsibly exiled him to India.
Come on, Dalai Lama, you're going to India. You've been exiled.
Sure! It's not like the Dalai Lama was trying to create an autonomous government that was going to help Tibet or anything like that.
China saved Tibet from an incompetent religious leader that doesn't truly know how to rule a country and just preaches whatever he needs to please his people. We freed you from someone who was forcing Buddhism on you.
Isn't Buddhism supposed to be about peace? You just enslaved the entire nation of Tibet because you're greedy.
That is a false statement. Tibet is not a nation anymore. They are now the Tibet Autonomous Regions of China.
The Dalai Lama's exile wasn't all bad. Actually, it was the perfect way to get some peace and think about how to create a government separate from China's communist reign that would corrupt Tibet. Specifically, an autonomous government, which is a government with the right to rule itself. Since Tibet failed their uprising, many Chinese immigrants are arriving in Tibet, which could cause problems as they try to limit Tibet's influences and beliefs. Buddhism was banned in 1966 due to China's actions to enforce communism in Tibet.
China was attempting to create a more orderly government that had no influence of religious values. After all, the only thing religion does is cloud judgment and confuse people's views on the world. It makes government.
Buddhism is banned. Communism for all.
But Buddhism is about peace and tranquility. Why would you try to get rid of such a beautiful thing? And communism will just ruin our country.
Fine, if you disagree with us, we'll just get more of us over here. That'll suppress your rebellious ideals.
You're just trying to limit our religious freedoms.
Thanks, Captain Obvious. I never would have guessed.
Meanwhile, in India, the Dalai Lama started his permanent exile in Dharamsala in Punjab.
There he began working on creating a democratic shadow Tibetan government. 10 years later, in 1976, the ban on Buddhism was lifted, but people still protested.
The exiled Dalai Lama won support from around the world for the Tibetan independence movement, and in 1989, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Do you mind? So in 1989, he won the Nobel Peace Prize for his nonviolent campaign to end Chinese occupation of Tibet.
And the winner for the 1989 Nobel Peace Prize goes to Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama, for his non-violent campaign to free Tibet from China's rule. The Tibetan independence movement, as he calls it. Please come here and accept your award.
Thank you for this honor.
However, he still is exiled in India.
Shut up! No one likes you anyway, Tibet!
Tell it to all our supporters!
Alright! Thank you for your time. Never forget the history of the Dalai Lama, and have a good night.
And they're all and
Want to start?
is it Lhasa? I think it's just Laja.
Raja?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Look it up. Look it up.
Laja.
Laser. Laser? Obviously, it's the laser.
Oh.
Wait, no.
Beep boop, beep boop, beep. There we go.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Oh, Lord Jesus, that's the fire.
Buddhism.
Meanwhile, in India, the Dalai Lama started his permanent exile in Dharamsala.
10 years later, in 1970.
I just see you like laugh.
I'm sorry. I just had a thought because we're reading the thing, and I was just like, what if this entire video is just like half of our forehead?
Oh my God. You see me now?
It's like just like up from
straighten
here.
it back a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Whew.
Should I start?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.